Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining this morning, Srimad Bhagavatam class, and hopefully attentive japa. We'll make a start. If anybody else wants to join, they can join as we go. So we're talking about Dhruva Maharaj still. It's a very nice pastime, and there's a lot to discuss about Dhruva Maharaj. It's a very big inspiration to our lives. So Dhruva Maharaj is fighting the yakshas, and he's killing them indiscriminately. And so his grandfather, Swayambhuva Manu, appears and advises him to stop fighting. This is the second part because it's a quite long discussion. So this is the second part, and we'll continue from there. So Swayambhuva Manu says to Dhruva Maharaj, "My dear son, those yakshas who are descendants of Kuber are not actually the killers of your brother. The birth and death of every living entity are caused by the Supreme, who is certainly the cause of all causes." If you look at that in a spiritual way, yeah, that's true. But in a material way, I don't think, by the law, you could get away with that. But anyway, he's trying to make a point. The Supreme Personality of Godhead creates this material world, maintains it, and annihilates it in due course of time. But because he is transcendental to such activities, he is never affected by ego in such action or by the modes of material nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the super soul of all living entities. He is the controller and maintainer of everyone. Through the agency of his external energy, he creates, maintains, and annihilates everyone. So Swayambhuva Manu is explaining to him that we are not in control. There's only one controller, and that's the Supreme Personality Godhead. He decides who lives, who dies, and when they die. It's all controlled by the Lord. We don't have any control, although we are in similar to quality to the Lord, but we're not the controllers because we are just very tiny fragment. Whereas the Lord, He's unlimited with power and strength and everything. Let's pray. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham Kroti Vachalam Pangum Langyate Grim Yat Kirpatam Hamandeshi Gurum Didaranam Param Ananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishram Hari Om Tassat Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiriyat Nasta Prishavdareshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevya Bhagavati Uttam Shlokya Bhakti Bhagavati Nestiki. My dear boy Dhruv, please surrender onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is why he's telling about the glories of the Lord. He's saying, please surrender to the Lord. Don't take it all upon yourself. Who is the ultimate goal of the progress of the world? Everyone, including the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, is working under his control. Just as a bull prompted by a rope in its nose is controlled by its owner. So we are compared to like a bull tied to a center point. We have some free will, but it's very limited. We can only go around in that area. We can't go outside that. Although we can go round and round. It's not that we're stuck in one place. We can go round and round. We have free will to go round and round, but our space or our control is limited. The material disease is to declare independence from the Supreme Controller. Factually, our material existence begins when we forget the Supreme Controller and wish to lord it over material nature. Everyone in the material world is trying his best to become the supreme controller, individually, nationally, socially, and in many other ways. Dhruva Maharaj was advised to stop fighting by his grandfather, who was concerned that Dhruva was adhering to a personal ambition to fight to annihilate the whole race of yakshas. So in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, I am ultimate death who takes away everything from the demons. The demons' business is to continually struggle for existence as lords over material nature. The demons repeatedly meet death after death and create a network of involvement in the material world. The Lord is death for the demons, but for devotees, he is Amrit, eternal life. Devotees who render continuous service to the Lord have already attained immortality. For whatever they are doing in this life, they will continue to do in the next. They will simply change their material bodies for spiritual bodies. Unlike the demons, they no longer have to change material bodies. The Lord, therefore, is simultaneously death and immortality. He is death for demons and immortality for devotees. He is the ultimate goal of everyone because he is the cause of all causes. So Dhruva Maharaj was advised to surrender unto him in all respects without keeping any personal ambition. One may put forward the argument, why are the demigods worshipped? The answer is given here that demigods are worshipped by less intelligent men. The demigods themselves accept sacrifice for the ultimate satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My dear Dhruva, at the age of only 5 years, you were very grievously afflicted by the words of your mother's co-wife. And you very boldly gave up the protection of your mother and went to the forest to engage in the yogic process for realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As a result of this, you have already achieved the topmost position in all the 3 worlds. So Manu is saying that you have already achieved the highest position. So why are you, going against what you have already achieved? You don't need to do all this. You should be just focusing on going back home one day and not getting too much entangled in this material world. Manu was very proud that Dhruva Maharaj was one of the descendants in his family, because at the age of only 5 years, Dhruva Maharaj began meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and within 6 months, he was able to see the Supreme Lord face to face. Factually, Dhruva Maharaj is the glory of the Manu dynasty, or the human family. The human family begins from Manu. The Sanskrit word for man is Manushya, which means descendant of Manu. Not only is Dhruva Maharaj the glory of the family of Sambhuva Manu, but he is the glory of the entire human society, because Dhruva Maharaj had already surrendered to the Supreme Godhead. He was especially requested not to do anything unbefitting a surrendered soul. So now if you have become surrendered, doesn't mean it cannot be reversed. It can. So if you are plugged in to Krishna, it can be unplugged as well. So we have to be very careful that you stay plugged in. Therefore, my dear Dhruv, please turn your attention to the Supreme Person, who is the infallible Brahman. Face the Supreme Personality Godhead in your original position, and thus by self-realization, you will find this material differentiation to be merely flickering. So living entities have 3 kinds of vision according to their position in self-realization. According to the bodily concept of life, one sees differentiation in terms of varieties of bodies. The living entities actually passes through many varieties of material forms. But despite all such changes of body, he is eternal. When living entities therefore are viewed in the bodily concept of life, one appears to be different from another. So although as souls we are we are exactly the same, we are the same fragments of the Lord. We have different bodies, different shapes and sizes according to our karma. Lord Manu wanted to change the vision of Dhruva Maharaj, who was looking upon the Yakshas as different from him or as his enemies. Actually, no one is an enemy or a friend. Everyone is passing through different types of bodies under the law of karma. But as soon as one is situated in his spiritual identity, he does not see differentiation in terms of this law. In other words, as stated in Bhagavad-Gita 18.54, Brahmota prasanatmana shotina kamshti same sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakting labhate param. So a devotee who is already liberated does not see differentiation in terms of the outward body. He sees all living entities as spirit souls, eternal servants of the Lord. Dhruva Maharaj was advised by Lord Manu to see with that vision. He was specifically advised to do so because he was great devotee and should not have looked upon other living entities with ordinary vision. So it shows that if Dhruva Maharaj, although he was realized, he still had things to learn. Indirectly, Manu pointed out to Dhruva Maharaj that out of material affection, Dhruva thought of his brother as his kin and the Yakshas as his enemies. Such observation of differentiation subsides as soon as one is situated in his original position as an eternal servant of the Lord. So actually, although we all learn with time, but Dhruva Maharaj, he was afflicted by, he was so attached to his younger stepbrother, and also he was a king, so he felt that it was a duty to punish the Yakshas, but he just went a bit too far. And this is a problem with anger. With anger, you lose control. Thus, anger, lust, greed, all these three things, gateways to hell, because we lose control. There is no, once we start into any of these three things, there is no control. It's like putting petrol on fire. It just increases and increases. There is no limit how far we can go, or what actions we can take to fulfill these three things: lust, greed, and anger. Thus, regaining your natural position and rendering service unto the Supreme Lord, who is the all-powerful reservoir of all pleasure and who lives in all living entities as the super soul, you will very soon forget the illusory understanding of I and my. Dhruva Maharaj was already a liberated person because at the age of 5 years, he had seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But even though liberated, he was for the time being afflicted by the illusion of Maya. Thinking himself a brother Uttam in the bodily concept of life, the whole material world is working on the basis of I and mine. This is the root of attraction to the material world. If one is attracted by this root of illusory conceptions of I and mine, he will have to remain within this material world in different exalted or nasty positions. By the grace of Lord Krishna, the sages and Lord Manu reminded Dhruva Maharaj that he should not continue this material conception of I and mine. Simply by devotional service unto the Lord, his illusion could be eradicated without difficulty. So this is a lesson for us that we have to be very careful that we don't get entangled and caught up in the I and mine, whether it's family or it's wealth, anything. Everything belongs to God. My dear King, just consider what I have said to you, which will act as medicinal treatment upon disease. Control your anger. So we're coming to now Manu is telling him that it's your anger which now has become out of control. Anger is important, but out of control anger is not good. Control your anger, for anger is the foremost enemy on the path of spiritual realization. I wish all good fortune for you. Please follow my instructions. So Dhruva Maharaj was the liberated soul, and actually he was not angry with anyone. But because he was a ruler, it was his duty to become angry for some time in order to keep law and order in the state. Okay, so for some time is okay, but it was a duty of Dhruva Maharaj to kill the offender, life for life, because Dhruva Maharaj was the king. When the challenge came, Dhruva Maharaj fought and punish the yakshas sufficiently. But anger is such that if one increases it, it increases unlimitedly. This is the problem. Although he was a king, he had the right to be angry, he had the right to punish, but there's a limit. You have to draw the line. Even for a king, there's a limit. In order that Dhruva Maharaj's kingly anger not exceed the limit, Manu was kind enough to check his grandson. Dhruva Maharaj could understand the purpose of his grandfather, and he immediately stopped the fighting. By constantly hearing about devotional service, one can check the force of anger, which is detrimental to the process of devotional service. One can check the force of anger, which is detrimental, and Srila Parikshit Maharaj said that the constant hearing of the pastimes of the Lord is the panacea for all material diseases. Everyone, therefore, should hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly. By hearing, one can always remain in equilibrium, and thus his progress in spiritual life will not be hampered. So hearing about the pastimes of the Lord, hearing about the Lord has a magical effect on us that we get, we lose the effects of the anger, greed, and lust. It does not control us anymore. Dhruva Maharaj becoming angry with the miscreants was quite appropriate. There is a short story in this connection about a snake. I think many of you must have heard this story, but we'll go through it, who became a devotee upon instruction by Narad. So this snake became a devotee by instruction of, because Narad, he could speak to the animals, he could speak to everyone. We instructed him not to bite anymore. Since ordinarily a snake's business is to fatally bite other living entities, as a devotee, he was forbidden to do so. Unfortunately, people took advantage of this non-violence on the part of the snake, especially the children who began to throw stones at him. He didn't bite anyone, however, because it was the instruction of his spiritual master. After a while, when the snake met his spiritual master, Narad, he complained, I have given up the bad habit of biting innocent living entities, but they are mistreating me by throwing stones at me. Upon hearing this, Narada Muni instructed him, don't bite, but don't forget to expand your hood as if you are going to bite. Then they will go away. Similarly, a devotee is always non-violent. He is qualified with all good characteristics, but in the common world, when there is mischief made by others, he should not forget to become angry, at least for the time being, in order to drive away the miscreants. So we talk about the common world, not devotee to devotee, but in the common world. A person who desires liberation from this material world should not fall under the control of anger. So it's very important we check our lust, anger, and greed. It should be in our control, only used as necessary and in amounts that is necessary. Because when bewildered by anger, one becomes a source of dread for all others. A devotee or saintly person should not be dreadful to others, nor should anyone be a source of dread to him. If one treats others with non-enmity, then no one will become his enemy. There is the example, however, of Jesus Christ, who had enemies and they crucified him. The demoniac are always present and they find fault even in saintly persons. But a saintly person never becomes angry, even if there is very good provocation. That is called ultimate control. My dear Dhruv, you thought that the yakshas killed your brother, and therefore you have killed great numbers of them. But by this action, you have agitated the mind of Lord Shiva's brother Kuber, who is a treasure of the demigods. Please note that your actions have been very disrespectful to Kuber and Lord Shiva. And Lord Manu stated that Dhruva Maharaj had been offensive to Lord Shiva and his brother Kuber because the Yakshas belonged to the Kuber's family. They were not ordinary persons as such. They have been described as Punya Janan, pious men. Somehow or other, the mind of Kuber had been agitated, and Dhruva Maharaj was advised to pacify him. So actually, only one person was to blame in the Yakshas. Only one person killed Uttam, but then Dhruva Maharaj went and killed, so many of them. For this reason, my son, you should immediately pacify Kuber with gentle words and prayers, and thus with his wrath may not affect our family. In our common dealings, we should maintain friendship with everyone, and certainly with such exalted demigods as Kuber, our behavior should be such that no one should become angry and thereby commit a wrong to individuals, families, or society. So this same Bhuva Manu, after giving instruction to Dhruva Maharaj, his grandson received respectful obeisances from him. Then Lord Manu and the great sages went back to their respective homes. So this is the part where his grandfather had to intervene because, like I said, lust, anger, greed, unchecked can be a problem. And it's good that if somebody can check. This is why we need association of devotees as well, because the devotees can correct us when we have a situation when we get out of control in some way, which is affecting our bhakti. The devotees can save us. And we were just discussing Bharat Maharaj, that he became so attached to a deer, but he was in the forest alone on his own, and he didn't really have anybody to tell him that, hey, you're becoming too attached, and it will affect your bhakti, it will affect your time, end of time, you'll be thinking about this deer. Nobody told him that, and because of that, he had to come back again. So association, I think, is very important, that somebody can correct you, somebody who you respect can correct you, or senior, like in this case, he was his grandfather. Dhruv was happy to listen to his grandfather because he was his senior. So it's like that. So thank you so much for joining. Aradhya, my father-in-law ji, Hina Mataji, Madhav Shamsundar Prabhu, Praveen Mataji, and Prem Prakash Prabhu. Thank you so much. I would like to hear from Aradhya. Oh, okay, just listening. Sorry, yes. Hina Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, everyone. Thank you for the class, Prabhu, this morning. Yeah, lots of lots of points of nectar. At the beginning, when you started, Swayambhava Manu was advising Dhruv, about the qualities of the thing. Things aren't in our hands. The Supreme Lord is the cause of all causes, and that we're not in control. That we have limited free will. And it just kind of started making me think that that limited free will, that we need to be using that for the right purposes, for the right reasons, and we need to be dovetailing that into Krishna's, into devotional service. And then I think you made a nice point, I think, as well, around how devotional service continues from this life into the next life. Basically, what we're doing now here in terms of our devotional activities will just continue. It's just a change of bodies, which is lovely. It just reminds us that we're all on the right path. And then there were some points that you made around where Swayambhava Manu was advising Dhruva to kind of see everybody, the spirit souls, the vision of seeing everyone equally, and that the importance of looking past the externals and see everybody as basically connected to the Supreme, essentially, and keep that in mind. So yeah, no, that's lovely. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Praveen Mataji, very good.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. It's very nice pastime, and it just felt like a revision of Bhagavad-Gita as well, all the important verses which we've read. And yeah, like Mataji said, yes, Krishna is the cause of all causes. And then we're talking about Krishna, he says in chapter 11, 32, I am time, the destroyer of the world. So we have to remember that, like, Krishna is the cause of everything. We are not doing anything. And also anger, like you said, like anger, lust, and greed, gateway to the hell. So we have to keep check on these, and anger done for the right reasons, like Lord Hanuman and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they did anger for the right reasons. So yeah, so basically we need to control. But it was, I was a bit happy to see that yes, we can get a little bit angry when other people are annoying you, but then we need to keep in control. So a little bit is okay. To like this, snake was told, yes, you can still, you know, you can't bite, but you can. I can't remember the word. Like, I can't remember what was it. Sorry, what he can do? Like he can bring the.
Yeah, and Narad Muni said to the snake that don't bite.
Yeah.
I didn't say that you can't raise your hood. You know, like a
Oh
snake
yeah.
raises his hood like he's going to bite.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
you can do that.
so we can just like be guarded, and so but we don't have to get angry. Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhu. See, the point is whatever you do, it should be done under control. You know, we should still be in control. It's when we lose control, that's when the problems begin. You know, it's like with the children as well. You can, you show them like a slap, we're gonna slap them, but you don't necessarily slap them. We just show them, I'm gonna, just have a little bit so they respect you, have a little bit of fear. That's all, but you don't actually do the process. So the snake was because the people who were throwing stones at him, they don't know whether he can, he's going to bite or not. He just has to pretend to bite, that I'm going to bite you, so that will just create some fear in them and stop messing him about. So it's like that. Now we don't need to be too submissive. We shouldn't be so submissive that people take advantage of you. And I heard a saying once that don't lower yourself so much so somebody can just cut your neck. There's like a saying in Punjabi that itna nahi jukna कि कोई आपका गर्दन नहीं काट दे ना, like that. So you have to show some authority and some self-control, that people don't misuse you, take advantage of you, but internally you are calm and you are in control, and you're not going to go all the way of being violent or anything like that. But you can show that you are capable if necessary. You don't have to go through it, but you can show that you're capable if necessary. So people don't. That's only in extreme circumstances that people just they mess you about. So I think that's the idea there. Thank you so much, Mati. Prem Prakash Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Are we there? Unmute, please.
I think he's driving, Prabhuji. He'll just
Oh,
be there at the. He can say in the last, if that's okay.
okay. I think that's it. Swashi Mataji is not here today, or Partha Prabhu. So,
So I would like to mention one thing, Prabhuji. Once I was listening to a lecture by Amog Leela Prabhu, he mentioned that हिंदी में वो बोल रहे थे कि हमें गुस्सा आना नहीं चाहिए, हमें गुस्सा करना चाहिए. Like we should not be angry, we should show anger.
yes.
But that is very difficult actually. Once we show anger, then then we can't control. So actually the thing is that we should not, he said that we should not be controlled by anger. We should be controlling anger. Like when we have to raise our voice, or to control our kids sometimes. So they're annoying, they are misbehaving. So then we don't have to literally be angry at them. We just, like the snake does, raises his hood. So we just need to show them that we are angry. So that was a very outstanding point for me. But still I'm not able to control it. Actually, it goes on, it flows actually when once anger is there.
No point to return, right?
Yeah, it's very tough to control anger.
Yes, yes, yes. I think with regard to anger, I think you got to have some pointers in your mind. I know it's very difficult. It's easier for me to say than actually do. But we need to have pointers in our mind that if something is happening, why it's happening. We can think about karma. We can think about we're getting purification. Our karma is burning, or the super soul is telling this person to do this because maybe this is necessary for me at the moment, like that. There's things you can tell yourself, because we take it too personally. We think our ego hurts. This is the problem. Our ego gets hurt when somebody is doing wrong to us. We get hurt. But I think if you look at it from a spiritual point of view, then unless somebody really pushes you out the train, you should try and not to get angry. What's does that you have to toleration, mitigation, and response. So our original point should be to tolerate if we can. If we can't tolerate, it's getting a bit too much, then we try and mitigate the problem by discussing if possible. But if somebody's going to really throw you out of the train, and the reason we use this example like the train, that you are traveling in a train, and in India especially, you have to tolerate, there's so much crowd in one compartment, and you have to tolerate them. Everybody's stepping on your feet and squeezing in, say please adjust, and there's so many people you can fit on the seat, and they all trying to adjust in the same position, so you tolerate. And if somebody's sitting right on top of you, you have to mitigate. Look, please, you're squashing me, please, to mitigate. But if somebody throwing you out of the train just so they can have more space, then you have to respond, because they're going to throw. You're not going to get to your destination. You're going to be thrown out. You'll get hurt. So then you have to respond. But originally, you try and tolerate it to an extent. So we don't have to respond all the time. You don't pick on every point. Oh, why this, why this? Then you can't do bhakti. You can't even live properly if you were just picking on every little point of another. Because we all have our problems. We all have our weaknesses. People have their defects. Everybody has defects. We might have different defects, but the defects are there. So you have to accept people as they are. That okay, this person has this defect, and I have to interact with them accordingly, according to the. I know this person is like this, so I have to deal with them. You can't deal kind of the same recipe for every person. You have to deal with different people in a different way. Some people you have to be very, very, very respectful, very, very, very polite. Other people you can have a laugh and a banter with. You can get away. Others don't have a sense of humor. You have to be careful. This person doesn't have a sense of humor, so be very careful what I say to them. Maybe I'll just say Hare Krishna, and that is enough. Just keep it at that level. The people you can have a discussion with, like friends. So you have to be careful. You have to live and learn. I don't think we should take things personally. We can best look at them a spiritual way and try and just maintain the harmony. It's very important. Otherwise, we can't do spirituality. It's the dynamics of interaction that there will always be. You don't go to trouble, Mataji, trouble comes to us. So very, very important that we have that we're understanding that why things might be happening, and try and tolerate if you can. Hope that makes some kind of sense.
Yes, Prabhuji, that makes sense actually. There are, a person is never in one mode of nature. Like it keeps on rotating throughout the day, throughout the life, throughout the months. It comes and goes. But the reaction time is different. How we react, like before coming to Krishna consciousness, we might react in a different way to different modes, like mode of ignorance. It said that when we are angry, we are in mode of ignorance. So the situation might come again repeatedly, but of course, very minute change, but it does happen over the period of time. The way we react, it changes once we start chanting, but of course it takes long. It takes longer than we think.
It does. It does. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely right. Yes, it is. But I think we just have to be mindful. We have to check our anger. We watch it from the distance rather than getting too much entangled into it. Watch it. What's happening to me. Why? So this person said this or this happened. Why am I getting angry? Why? Like you watch your anger rather than being part of the anger. You watch it from a distance. I think that helps. And I think I'm saying that as a male, I think it's easier for the males maybe to do that because we have as females, males, we have different makeup, mentally, we have a different makeup. So I think maybe I can't, I can't, maybe I can't really understand the female point of view, only the male point of view. But I understand it can be very, very difficult. The emotions,
Sometimes,
everything gets into one. Sorry, Madhuri.
no, the same thing I was I was thinking to think to observe as a third person
Yeah,
is a is really something which we can improve, which after, if we are angry, like if we record what we are saying, how we are responding, and then afterwards when we are in a different state of mind, then we go back and listen to the recording. Then of course we'll be ashamed, and then the other time repeating the same thing will be a bit, we'll be a bit improvised in that.
absolutely, absolutely. See,
Mataji, sorry, I just wanted to add, like my husband, he like now it is less, but before it used to be, just record yourself and listen. And he is the one who's like shouting at me in the beginning, and then I'm only answering back. But he always used to say, record it and just listen to yourself. And I said, no, you're making me angry. So,
Yeah, sometimes we are triggered, Mataji.
yes.
We are.
And then he just say, you're shouting. And I said, no, just listen to your tone. And only yesterday we were saying the way he speaks, even to like my daughters, they're not well, they're all here. And to the dog, and he's the Tappy, no, don't do this. So we were just trying to tell him, don't speak in that tone, because then Chris, little one, he picks up as well. And but the good thing I wanted to share, my grandson, he has started chanting Mahamantra. So yesterday he sang all of it, and then in the end he said, I did it. He's so happy. Even now he woke up and he said, are you going to do Jai now? I said, yes. So that's a good thing I wanted to share.
That's a
And
blessing.
you carry on, Mataji. That was terrible.
No, I was done, Mataji. Thanks for adding.
thank you so much. I just want to quickly share my couple of instances that I had. You can call it road rage if you like, and learn my lesson. I never get angry anymore on these. Sometimes we learn from our mistakes better too. So I've had two instances. One was where I was trying to park and somebody else came and took my space, which I thought I had, I was like trying to reverse into it. Somebody just came from the other side and took the parking at the shopping center. And I got out my car and I gave him my peace of mind. And he said, actually, he says, brother, I didn't realize that you were parking, but when I realized I was going to, now that you came, when you came at the car, I realized that, oh, I made a mistake. But the way you have spoken to me, I'm not going to move. and I just, I thought he's right, because I was very rude to him. And I thought he's right, that if I want him to understand my point of view, then I have to be polite about it. I can raving and ranting at him, what do you think you're doing? You can't see or something. I'm trying to get in. So I thought he was in the right, and I left it. I said, yeah, so you're right, I'm so sorry. You're right. You carry on, take the space. And I went somewhere else. And I learned from that yes, you can't just go around abusing people just for a little thing like that. Other time I had another situation where I got a little bit too angry. These people, the matter was resolved, but I was still angry. Like I say, once you get angry, you can't come back with it. I was so angry that I managed to crash my own car. So, who lost in this? I did. I the one who crashed my car, damaged my car. So what was the point of getting angry that it's cost me now? So from then on, yeah, it's not a problem. That's fine. I'm happy where, somebody else is happy. Okay, you carry on. I'll find alternative. So it's like that. The point is that anger is damaging. So same with the Dhruva Maharaj, the anger was going to be damaging to his bhakti. That's why his grandfather intervened and stopped him. Like, look, you're a realized person. You are already qualified to go back home to Godhead. Why are you messing with this? Right? Don't mess with this. You are a pride to humanity. Remain a pride, because people will follow your example. People will worship you, throughout the ages. So please don't do anything which doesn't befit you. So it's like that. So anger is, bottom line is, anger is it damaging? We're damaging ourselves. We're damaging others, but more we're damaging ourselves. So this is the point. So thank you so much. We'll do a quick couple of rounds. Maybe Parveen Mataji would like to lead the first round, and I don't know, Prem Prakash Babu would like to do the second round. Where you're driving, I just said, I don't know who can do the second round. Anybody like to volunteer?
Maybe I can nominate Ishani.
Thank you. That's
Got
fine.
me. Got me.
Okay, Parveen Mataji, then Ishani. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine. Namaste.